We're just
Okay. We'll just be. Are we?
had a shiny face, guys. I'm glossed.
You're
Yeah,
glossing. You're glossing down. I'm glossing up.
yeah.
And I have
But
to
now I want
remind
to
my.
gloss up as well. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to America. You got this. We're
How we doing?
I'm okay, I guess. I think I'd like to believe that I'm okay, but I was sobbing in boxing today, as I
Mm.
DM'd you
Mm-hmm.
earlier, and also told everybody on my
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. Life is lifing.
I too have been crying nonstop.
Oh,
It's
good. It's
and
nice
I'm
to
I'm doing it on the internet, which is fun.
Okay.
Um,
I
that's
mean, we're perpetually online, so we might as well cry
have the
for
whole
everyone.
human experience. It's it's for me, it's end of school year is the thing that, and I'm not an end of year crier. I'm not one of those moms. But my kids are transitioning out of elementary school and I have a kiddo going to high school. And it's just bringing up a lot for me. And I was at my son's middle school walkout. They like clap and confetti cannons, the whole thing. And I ran into another mom who I have known since I was in middle school. We
Oh.
just both moved from Indiana and happened to land in the same suburb of Chicago. But I saw her and she goes, "You've been feeling a lot of emotions lately." And I'm like, mm-hmm.
Is that the appropriate place to even have that conversation, though? Like, immediately I would have started crying. Did you?
I did when I got back in my car. But
Well, go ahead.
and if it hadn't been her, like if we didn't have this like lifelong kind of rapport and banter, like if it had been just a random mom, I would not have been well. It would not have been good.
Well, and I think when people ask, how are you? And you want to have the genuine reaction, like my
Yeah.
boxing partner today, she said, how are you? I started crying. I hadn't planned on crying in boxing, but I'm like, I'm not okay. And it's not that I'm not an end of this school year crier. It's an end of democracy crier. It's oh my God, are we actually going to do the things that we need to do to bring us back from the edge crier? And I think crying's a good thing. I think we should be a bit more open about how wrecked
Yes.
so many of us are.
Yeah, I agree. Well, because I think when we walk around and we try to hide it and pretend like we're fine when we're not actually fine, or even when we're trying to gaslight ourselves into thinking that we're fine, and you go around and you just end up as this sort of pod person version of yourself, that's not healthy for anybody. It's not healthy for your nervous system. It's not going to be healthy for the people that you love because if you can't really honor the full experience of the heaviness that we're in. But then we also get the joy too. I
What
just
joy?
saw
I feel no joy.
you are the joy. No
I
pressure.
actually, you have a new mug. I have an old mug. It's my do more of what makes you happy. Can you see that?
Oh, I love that. Mine's a little sassier.
What does yours say?
Mine is the president of the United States and the dumbest motherfucker should be, or dumbest motherfucker on the planet should be two different people.
Oh, for real though.
They are,
That's a
in
good
fact,
mug. I like
the
it. It's better than an
same person.
inspirational mug.
Yes, they
It's
are,
a
in fact, the same.
SmackDown mug. Everybody, what mugs do you have? Let us know in the comments. Do you like inspirational mugs or SmackDown mugs? I have a mug that says, be kind, and then in tiny little letters of a bitch.
I was hoping that that was what you were about to say. I was really hoping that's what it was going to be.
Well, I wanted to, we have a guest today, and we're going to be talking about how we work through these emotions without ripping each other's heads off.
Mm.
And it just feels like the discourse has devolved, right? To the point where we're at each other's throats as allies, we're at our quote unquote opposition's throats. And
Mm.
so I want to go ahead and bring her in because she posted something this week that made me go, oh, we need to have Marcia Baumgardner on the show because she is always just really asking us to do the right thing. Marcia, welcome to America. You got this. You're a teacher. And I feel like this week has been a teachable moment.
Well, thank you so much for having me on to chat with you guys. This is so fun for me. I love the podcasts. I love the idea of it. And so thanks for having me.
Well,
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, so you're incredible. And thank you for online always trying to say to people, hey, we could maybe not approach it this way. So this week it was the DNC response to Stephen Miller's completely out of pocket, transphobic, inflammatory, disgusting comment about James Talarico.
Yes.
For those of you who haven't seen it, there it is. Now,
yes, and I should just add, I'm in Texas, and so I've been following Talarico for a long time. And this was a big week in Texas politics with the final decision that the Republicans made to nominate Ken Paxton as their Republican choice for Senate. And so it's been in the news a lot. Of course, Talarico, if you haven't been following it, he has really energized a lot of Texans. And it's going to be a very stark contrast between Talarico's approach and Paxton's approach. If you're not familiar with Paxton, he is ethically challenged. I think that would be the nice way to put it. He's been impeached by the Texas House of Representatives, indicted on federal charges for security fraud, bribery allegations from his own staff, multiple mistresses. So it is very much a stark contrast happening here.
But very similar to our president. So it goes. It's basically like, oh yeah, this is their guy. This is their guy now. So
it's on brand.
It's very on brand.
Well, and I love the term ethically challenged. I feel like that kind of just is the nicest way you could put it.
Yeah.
And just so people know, Marcia, you're a teacher, right? You work with kids.
Yes.
So you have to ask us to be our better selves. So let's look at the reply from the DNC account. For everybody can see that, who doesn't know, it was "Shut up, you ugly fuck."
Yes. Okay. So I thought that this was a really interesting moment because you start out with Stephen Miller, of course, as you characterized it, making a very inflammatory statement about James Talarico. It appears that the Democratic approach to Talarico is going to be to try to demean his manhood in some ways, right? Call him kind of a wuss. You have the low T, is his girlfriend real kind of approach that they're taking. And so I think that this was a part of that overall messaging. But of course, it's misinformation. And this was very troubling to me because Stephen Miller is a high-ranking official in the government. He's the deputy chief of staff for policy. And as such, right, his account represents a leadership position, right? He is a leader in our government. And to put misinformation out there like that is simply wrong, right? It is not good leadership.
But is it misinformation or is it disinformation? Because he knows he's weaponizing this. And so he's doing this purposefully. It is a divisive attempt and an attack. And so when someone's attacked, like I'm in boxing, right? When we get attacked, we have to dodge that attack, right? We have to slip, boom. But then we also have to come back with a counterattack. And so what you raised issue with was how the DNC chose to respond. And guys, I think we have to have a conversation about it. Like Lauren, you and I are on here the last couple of weeks, kind of just being real honest about what it's going to take to bring people in, but also calling people out.
Yeah, absolutely. And it struck me as my first initial reaction to it was, oh, that was not the response I was expecting. And I got a little jolt of, okay, there's last summer I asked Ken Martin in an interview why it felt like Democrats were showing up to a gunfight with a cheese stick and not even a knife. They just brought some string cheese and
wandering kind of just with a cheese stick, not even walking directly into the fight, just
right.
Where am
So I
I?
felt like, okay, they set the cheese stick down here, but maybe they overcorrected. I would really love to hear the the analysis from Marcia.
Yeah, so I think the idea here sometimes is that civility and fighting really hard for what you believe in are somehow mutually exclusive, right? Like you can't do it at the same time. And that's what I would try to, just gently push back against here. I think that you can fight back really hard and still retain some of your civility. My particular complaint here with the DNC's response is that it is a personal attack, right? You took it to a personal place. And this is something that, of course, we've seen the MAGA movement do over and over and over again. So it's kind of, when you're saying like, let's take a gun to a gunfight type of thing, right? That is very much in keeping. You are matching their tone now with your own tone. But is that really fighting back against the core messages that the MAGA movement is putting out simply by kind of stooping to their level of incivility there? So I would simply argue that you can fight really hard for your beliefs. You can fight for your values. You can push back against the Stephen Millers of the world without stooping to their level. And then the other thing, and maybe you've seen this online as well, but a lot of the argument or the pushback that I get is like, well, we've tried taking the high road. We've tried it. It's not working. That's simply, it's a failed plan because they keep going low. We try to go high and it's not working. And I would push back a little bit against that narrative as well, because I don't necessarily agree that it's not working. And we can kind of get into this a little bit deeper if you want, but if you look at the last year and a half of everything that's been going on, right, since the 2024 election, it's been a lot. It's been an onslaught. But it also, it was determined by an election that was not a landslide. Right. Even though the right wants to claim, Trump often claims he won in a landslide. If you go back and look at the numbers, right, the popular vote, it was pretty tight. He won decisively in the Electoral College, but he only won by about like 1.5% of the popular vote. Republicans hold very small majorities, both in the House and in the Senate. So the loss, it ended up having a huge effect, but the loss itself was very small. And I think as from my political science background, I would really look at that more as a failure of strategy and look at some of the campaign decisions that went into that, and not so much say it was a rejection of civility, if that makes sense.
Yes. So going back to the strategy and the response, the take the high road, the low road, the whatever road. As you probably know, I've been with the Lincoln Project since 2021, and we are famous for punching people in the throat, metaphorically. And it's part of the reason why I joined enthusiastically, because it was at a time where people felt that Democrats were not fighting back in the way they needed to fight back. And I am famously used to be a pushover. Like I was the person who allowed people to walk all over me until I read 48 Laws of Power. And I was like, oh, is this how evil people think? Interesting. Cool. I don't want to be a doormat anymore. And so I'm going to deal with mean people in a way that is slightly different than I would deal with somebody else. And this is actually very similar to in comedy, if you get heckled. So in comedy, if you get heckled, there's kind of two kinds of heckles. There's a heckler who wants to just be a part of the moment. And so they're well-meaning. They're just they want to engage with you. They want to talk to the comedian. And so you have that kind of heckler. And then you have a heckler who wants to get you off your game, who wants to demean you, to try to take away the moment. and you deal with that heckler in a very different way, because if you go hard after the person who just wanted to be a part of the show, you risk alienating the entire audience and having everybody be upset with you because they're like, oh, that was just like a sweet person who had too many drinks and they thought they could talk to you because they've seen all these clips online and they think that that's okay to do, to talk to the comedian on stage, versus the way a comedian would eviscerate somebody who is maybe shouting out something transphobic or bigoted. And then all of a sudden the audience is on your side. Yeah, and security may pull that person out. So I think about this and how we have to have more nuanced and varied approaches for how we do respond to the Stephen Millers of the world, because we can't all, back to the highway metaphor, we can't all be in the same lane. I think what the Republicans do really, really well is they understand they're going to have their little chaos critters, and they're going to have their people behind the scenes who are very, direct and rote and getting the things done that need to be done. I didn't need to see that response come from the DNC.
Right.
Yes.
But I think that response certainly should have come from Democratic operatives across the spectrum. Like, we need to have lanes and understand what our rules are.
I think
Absolutely.
that is such a great, oh, sorry.
Yeah, well, just to pick up on that point, I think that when you're in a position of leadership, right, you are setting an example too for everyone that's watching. And so I think you make an important distinction about if you're a political operative or an activist, go ahead and throw that punch that you want to throw. But when you are in a position of leadership and you have others watching you, and this is from my background of trying to influence young people, right, students, you want to respond in the way that sets an example for them for the future. And so thinking more long-term about this, how do you respond to a bully online? Is this how you want them to respond? And I think you do have to think through that a bit when you are in a position of leadership.
Absolutely. And Lauren, you were going to...
Yes. Well, I was just going to say that I think that there's something to be said for the Republicans that I know and in my family, they definitely pride themselves on being the party of American values, family values, that they think that they are more moral, and that they have some sort of ethical high ground, as opposed to Democrats. This is their conditioning and their entire thought process. I don't agree, but I think what we're seeing from the Trump administration right now is just this desecration of that concept. So if we can show them an alternative, if that is where they feel that they want to be aligned with a moral and ethical party, and we can be that for them, I think there's something to be said for that. But then also the other thought that I had was, this is kind of similar to the approach when it comes to dealing with ICE. There are people who are approaching ICE through their documenting, they're going to hearings, we're doing different sort of focus on mutual aid and protecting our neighbors. And then you've got the people who are throwing dildos at ICE. And so there's this.
I was not expecting you to. I was like, I didn't know where you were going with it. Dildos wasn't where I thought you were going, and I'm so glad that you did, though. I'm so glad. Continue.
Why not? It's a Friday. But I think there are different. It's the different lanes, and they can be very extreme and very. I'm not going to be outside a facility throwing paraphernalia at ICE, but I am going to go to a hearing. I am going to do content to try to educate and have more people pay attention to what's happening. But it's not everybody's cup of tea. So, but I think to your point, we need the different lanes. We need that. But some of those lanes maybe aren't as productive, perhaps. I'm not sure. I think it is considering the source of where it's coming from that changes the context around it.
For sure. We're supposed to be adults, right? And so when the adults in the room are screaming expletives on Twitter, by the way, though, which I feel like it's a very Twitter response. And so I think sometimes we have to also think about the venue, but it then can get weaponized and turned against us because Katie Miller went on some Fox show. I think we have the clip, and let's roll it so we can talk about that.
Let's bring in.
Your husband came under attack.
Uh-oh.
Your husband came under attack today when he said, like, the Democrats are, perhaps going to nominate their first transgender Senate candidate, talking about Talarico. And they responded by just, basically saying, shut up, you ugly F word, essentially. Any word for the Democrats, their little Twitter account?
This is the same violent political rhetoric that is leading people to shooting up, whether it be the White House Correspondents' Dinner or President Trump and Butler. But what it remains to be seen is this is an anonymous account, and it is run actually by a sad liberal woman named Paulina, which is why Pew says 50% of liberal women at some time have identified that they have a mental health disorder, and she is certainly one of them. What a sad state for the pathetic Democrat Party.
Well, Pauline, poor Pauline. Katie and Chris, great to see both of you.
Marcia, what's your response to that?
Well, first of all, I think her facts are wrong. I think that this was the first day for the new DNC social media director, right? It's a man now who just took over. I think this was his first day of posting. So, of course, we can just set aside some of the very sexist, overtly sexist comments there, and say, again, a lot of what she just said was just misinformation. And, well, to your point, more disinformation, because I do think that they're aware, right, when they are saying these things that they know are false, that it is aware, that they are very aware. But I do just want to comment on the idea that it is rhetoric that is coming from only the left, right? I think that of course, that's just, it's not objective in the in any way, right? So when we analyze the type of rhetoric coming from the right and the left, all studies would point to more inflammatory rhetoric coming from the right. There's a great book called The Outrage Industry, and it actually has studied, it's measured all the different rhetoric coming from both the right and the left in terms of, commentary groups. And it does find that there is outrageous rhetoric that inspires rage on both the right and the left, but it is heavily tilted towards the right. And so,
yeah, and I don't know that we need
quantifiable. It's quantifiable, yes.
It's like quantifiable,
but if you are looking for one, if you don't want to take, my word for it, there has been research done in this area. And so, of course, she's catering to her Fox audience there with that message. And we just have to be smarter than that, right? And this is where I think civic education comes into play. Media education is so important from my perspective. And that's what I try to promote.
Yeah, I yes, and yes, but also I feel like the moment we're in, I just interviewed the guy who's the best-selling author of The Project, which is about Project 2025. And I have to tell you, people are not scared enough and are not responding, I think, in many ways with enough aggression, in I want to say. It's the whole mistake kindness for weakness sort of thing. I think Republicans have mistook our kindness for weakness, and tweets like that, responses like that, aggressive things like that do send the signal, like, try me. And I worry that we're not being realistic about the moment that we're in, and what if this continues to escalate, what it would mean for marginalized communities. In particular, my daughter's trans. So this one obviously hit home for me. Like, when I saw the first tweet, I was like, you piece of shit, right? When Dave Chappelle was with all his transphobic specials, I would talk in my sets about wanting to punch him in the throat, not metaphorically, but literally. And so being kind of at the intersection, like my family, being at the intersection of everything that this administration is targeting, I I think I see
Yeah, it's
things
very
slightly
personal, right? It's
differently.
very
Yeah.
personal. And I think a lot of people feel that so deeply because, politics is not some abstract thing that's happening to other people, right? It touches on us and our families, and it's touching on a lot of people's families right now. So it's very real, and the problems that we face are very real. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the fight is so important, and how we do that fight is also so important, how we take that approach. And if we look at the idea of like we're losing the battle because of our civility or because of our kindness, I don't really think that that's why Democrats lost in 2024. And I also just want to take a little bit of the long view here, in that I think that we're going to come out of this phase. If you look at the midterm elections, things are looking very good for Democrats, even despite all the redistricting shenanigans. Democrats are probably going to win the House. So I would just take the long view here. It matters how we fight for the long term here. This is a phase. It is a very significant phase that will have ramifications, I think, for decades, even in just the next few years. But I do believe personally that we will come out of this on the other side, and we will be different. But it is going to change at a certain point. And I think that Democrats will want to be proud of the way that they fought back in this era. And I think that it doesn't just have to do with civility and kindness, but also Democrats need to get it together a little bit with their strategy and their leadership. Democrats are looking for a leader that will really fight for them, and in a way that is strong, that stands up to bullies, but doesn't necessarily lose all of their civility or their humanity in the process.
Okay, Lauren.
Oh, I was just thinking of Gavin Newsom in the way that he was meeting some of those social media moments, and it was really polarizing. There were people who it's great for Twitter, it's great for the internet, but when it comes to actual leadership in a presidential candidate, do we want more of that? Do we want what is the phrase about like pigs and shit? Like, do we want that? We've already had, at this point, we have had a decade of Trump just in this sphere. I think people are tired, and I think we are done as a nation of this kind of rolling around in shit that we are in. And I think that Republicans are also tired. So I don't think that the answer is meeting them with that same energy. It has to look different. It has to be strong, but also come with integrity too.
Yeah, and again, I love the sports metaphors, and so I feel like we do have to have a strong counter attack, but then we need to come with actual solutions and knowledge about why what he said was wrong, for example, in this instance, which that never happened, probably because everything happens at the speed of light right now. And so it becomes very reactionary. And it's like one thing to react, another thing to react and then build. And I'm so glad we're able to have this conversation. I'm so glad that I saw your post, Marcia, because you and I are kind of on opposite ends of this a little bit, but there's nuance where we overlap. And I wanted people to see, and I wanted to model what having a conversation where we might disagree or have different perspectives and different approaches, and how we can do that and still come away with like, hey, I said my piece, you said your piece. Like, we may have more points where we agree or don't agree, but we all agree that we kind of want to have a functioning democracy. So
absolutely, 100%. Thank you so much for having me, Maya. This was a great conversation. It was great to get to talk to you, Lauren. I love what you guys are doing. Keep up the great work.
Thanks you so Marcia. Much. Yeah, thanks for joining. There's pages like Builders and I'm trying to think of the other one, and they'll often post content where it's like, a trans woman talks to a MAGA Republican and has to communicate her truth while also listening to his truth. And it's like, well, what's your truth? Like, what? it shouldn't be on the marginalized, right? To have to be a part of that teachable moment, and yet we all have to be a part of the teachable moment. It's not fair,
Yeah,
like at
absolutely.
all.
Well, and I think that just the labor of doing this work, it is falling to predominantly marginalized communities in so many different aspects, um advocating for themselves and allies. I mean, women are who I see leading the activism spaces. And I'm going to be in DC and then Philadelphia next week for some political conferences and events. And the majority of the people I see in those spaces are women. And yet women are, as a whole, targeted in so many ways. And then when you distill it down even further, women of color and the lessons that white women are learning and should be learning from women of color, from the battles that they've had to fight at that intersection. I think that we're seeing the communities who are most at risk. And then back to ICE. When I was really active in my patrol groups for constitutional observer, not patrol, constitutional observer.
You're like, I always find myself too having to say, metaphorically speaking. Yeah.
Hypothetically. So, but the groups they were largely Spanish speaking, and most at risk themselves. And they were the ones who were leading and also in the trenches. And I just think that there's a lot to be said. And also with the mutual aid efforts that we've seen in Minneapolis, that's being led by people who are part of those at-risk communities or adjacent to. So it's not the people who have the most privilege, they are largely unaware or just disengaged. And I'm trying to be a little bit of a bridge between, uh, and it kind of kills part of my soul to water it down and to try to even to have conversations about. I remember in 2016 during that campaign season, I really struggled. I was not okay, but I hadn't found my voice yet in this space. But to go glad hand with people and go to the golf tournament and cheers the champagne and the bullshit, but then like I'm in the bathroom watching horrific things on my little pocket computer, and it just, the disconnect is, that chasm is still so wide.
Well, yeah. Like, how do you meet people where they're at when they're not even there? You know what I mean? Like, we're supposed to meet them where they're at, where they're not in the same plane room as us. They're living this parallel reality where they're not at all affected. And so to meet them where we're at, where they're at, how without exhausting ourselves. And I grew up in the western suburbs of Chicago, and so the vast majority of people that I know are white. The vast majority of people that I grew up with are white, and I see them on Instagram, on Facebook, continuing to live lives as if none of this is happening.
Yes.
And that does create a special level of rage in my bones that makes it very difficult to say, oh, we need to fight back politely. I have a t-shirt that says, it says, I don't wear it anymore because it's that inflammatory, but I don't argue with people who Harriet Tubman would have shot.
I love this.
And
I would wear that.
It's a great shirt, but I recognize this. I was wearing it like in 2018-ish, it's not a shirt I would wear now because I recognize that we're in a different moment where it can be weaponized against me, literally. Oh, she's trying to stoke violence. She's okay with violence. She promotes violence. And not at all. On the contrary, I'm a pacifist. But at the same time, I also recognize that we cannot be doormats in this. And so I also wonder how much time we're losing talking about how we're going to win this fight versus actually winning this fight. Meaning we're so wrapped up, the Democratic Party, progressives, in policing how we approach, how we do things. And it's like, we're in the ER right now. We're not at a preventative medicine appointment. This isn't
It's triage.
It's triage, exactly. We're not in an annual checkup. And so sometimes if you're in the emergency room and the DNC decides to punch Stephen Miller in the throat metaphorically, oh fucking well. We're in the emergency room. No one, honestly, it's like, okay, sure, next thing, because we've got other things to worry about than thinking long term. Love it. Would love if we could think long term right now, but we're barely able to get through week to week to week right now.
Absolutely. Well, and something that's really interesting, I've kind of pulled back a little bit in my consumption of what's happening. Just within the last, I just did it for about a week just to get through the end of the school year with my kids and just personal family things that we've been navigating. And so to see what news is coming to me through just organic algorithms, and if I'm not seeking it out in the way, like I'm not refreshing Al Jazeera every 5 seconds like I normally do, or seeking out that information. I'm not really great at all of the signal chats that I have going on, which is another place where I get
my signal chats.
Yeah, it's so bad. I had like 1,600 notifications in there the other day, and it's just not great. I think I'm at 600 right now, but so to see the information that is coming to me when I'm not actively seeking it out, because it is a thing that I'm passionate about and it is the world that we live in. If I don't seek it out, I did not get the Talarico. I didn't get any of it naturally in my algorithm. It was when I went and started re-engaging in some of the things. So it's just fascinating. Like and there are more of these things.
Well, you bring up a really good point, which is we're debating something that the vast majority of Americans aren't even going to see.
Correct. Exactly.
So why even waste energy debate? Wow, like that. 100%. And yet we spent, I don't know, 30 minutes talking about it. And we're so past time, but which is really good. It was a great conversation. So I wanted to keep it going. But I wanted to talk about
representation too of like how generally in theory to have these conversations about other topics and to find the nuance in the places where we have. So I think it definitely serves. But there's so much of what we sink into that the majority of people, the people that we want to reach, don't even know about. And even if they did, they probably didn't give a shit.
So did you also miss the Hungry Caterpillar collection?
I did, actually. But I'm so excited to talk.
So when it came across my feed, I was like, oh my God, I have to have that. Give me. I don't care that it's a $10,000. Look at this one, $19,000.
Get out of here. No way. Like I'm reacting in real time here. What?
Oh, you haven't seen this at all?
No, not at all.
What?
Is this real? Like when we were testing it earlier, I thought that this was like a joke.
No. Dior put out a Hungry Caterpillar collection, luxury collection, ranging from I think $1,000 for a t-shirt to here $20,000 for this bag. And I'm like, I've been to Eric Carle's museum. I took my daughter there when she was a kid. I am obsessed with Hungry Caterpillar, as we all are, and I know the world is freaking burning, but also I need that bag.
Yeah, I need that bag, but also like $19,000. People are dying and can't pay their bills. Like what? Like I just filled up my gas last night and it was almost $100. It has never been. It was like $93 for me to fill up my tank. And
Well,
it
how
has
many
never been that.
what portion of bag can you get for $90? Because I'm not walking anywhere. I'm not driving anywhere. I'm just gonna save up money so I can have the absolutely insane $20,000 Hungry Caterpillar bag. Like this is, but the reason I bring this up and I wanted to talk about it is because I saw it and I'm a human being. I exist on this planet, and my brain said, "That's disgusting. I want it." Like, like I was like, I can't believe the opulence. Give me that back.
I need it. I need. I would rather have that than like a Birkin.
Right?
I mean,
Oh, of course.
easy.
But that's the thing. We all want things. And I've been thinking a lot about this lately about what we deserve to have, what we have, consumerism, consumption,
Mhm.
capitalism, how it's going to just pull us into the pit of despair. We're already there. We're in the pit of despair. We're
Yeah.
going to stay there with our bags. American savings are at an all-time low right now. But the reality,
Savings? What savings?
I'm just saying what I saw in the news. It was like savings are low, and I was like, okay.
Yes, can
And meanwhile,
confirm.
credit card debt, I think, is at an all-time high. And so anything that people are buying, they're putting it on credit. And I think it was Tucker Carlson of all freaking people who was like, you know what? We should just stop paying, or people should just stop paying their credit card bills. Kid you not. He said this. And I was like, why am I agreeing with Tucker?
Why? Thanks, Tucker. What does he think about paying taxes too when our tax dollars are going to this monstrosity? It is our tax dollars that are paying for
All of this.
the like what is happening on the lawn of the White House. That as somebody who grew up in Indiana and I have family in Southern Illinois, and it is the kind of small town kind of redneck vibe where people park in yards, like in the grass, or park the wrong way on the side of the street just because that's where you want it to be. So you just pulled in right there. Like it makes no sense. And now I feel like I'm seeing that happen at the White House. Like we've got this UFC situation and what?
It's a carnival. It feels like a carnival,
The trashiest type of carnival. Like
very trashy car. Like are they going to sell cinnamon mini donuts at the White House? Like, is there going to be a trailer?
maybe a lemon shake up and an elephant ear. And I would absolutely get in line for that.
I love an elephant ear. I love fried dough. Give me the powdered sugar, shake it all over.
Yes.
And I don't know.
Such a joke. I like, where's the carny who's overseeing this shit? Is it?
I think that's RFK Jr. I think RFK Jr. looks like a carny. Like that is a perfect.
And Hegseth.
Yeah, or Hegseth. He's like that slick townie. Pete Hegseth is the slick townie who like moved away to New York City and then came back and thinks he's better than everybody. That's what I know all these things because I went to college in a small town in Iowa. So I know about townies and scooping the loop, which is what people used to do. They would drive.
Where did you go to college?
I went to Grinnell. It's in Iowa, and it's a town of 10,000 people at the time. The school had like 1,300 students. We're in the middle of a cornfield. Like we would drive to do a weekend trip to go to McDonald's, like that kind of thing. Like, hey, do you want to go to McDonald's next weekend? No, it was very much. And the town at the time was very liberal. Now apparently it's very red. We do have a White House before and after picture for those who don't know what they've done to the people's house. Let's see that because it's disgusting.
It is. Oh,
it's the bag.
That again. Yep. There it is.
It doesn't even look like it looks like AI.
It does. I am struggling to even find the right words for it. And as an event professional, guess what's going to happen to that grass? That grass is already dead. Like and then we're going to have to pay to rehab the grass, or is it just going to be like, are they going to pave it? What's the next
They're gonna
fuckery that they're gonna
there's gonna
do.
be like those brown patches like in the lawn when like some like people are the porta potties are gonna overflow. It's just gonna be a hot freaking mess. And America, I want to say you got this, but I feel like right now we're not
Mm-mm.
screaming nearly enough about what
Mhm.
we're seeing around us. And to close today, we do need to talk about what's happening at Delaney Hall in
Yes.
Jersey. Lauren and I have both been very involved in advocacy for immigrants' rights. When I was in the US, I was on the ground in Paramount, California. I was in downtown LA. And Lauren has been active in mutual aid, going up to
Mm.
Minnesota. And now we see what's happening at Delaney Hall
Mm.
in New Jersey. I don't even know what the latest is.
I
But
have a friend who's on the ground there right now. I should have checked in with her before this. But just in watching it, so for those who maybe don't know, and this is another one of those things, I don't know how much people know. Is this coming across their algorithms organically? Are they aware? Uh, but there's a hunger strike happening,
Mhm.
and how many days are we into it now? Is it 6 or 7?
Eh,
Um,
that I'm not sure of the details, but I know that there are enough people on a hunger strike, and there are rules around when they have to have medical care
Mhm.
for people who are on a hunger strike. And I know they're not supposed to be punitive measures, which they've already sent, I think, 10 to 12 people to a different facility out of state, so away from their lawyers, away from their families,
Mhm.
as punishment. And so we have a clip from Delaney for people who aren't familiar with what's happening there.
USA! No ways! No KKK, no fascist 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 USA! No ways! No ways!
So this is the same facility where LaMonica McIver, Representative McIver, was
Mhm.
trying to conduct oversight last year, and there was what I'm going to call is a kerfuffle as they were trying to arrest, I believe it was the mayor,
Mhm.
and they ended up charging her
Yeah.
with assaulting federal officers. She's facing 17 years in prison for
Yep.
doing her job. Right. So this is that
Yep.
same facility, and they're trying to ensure that people are being treated humanely in these centers, which I don't even know if there's a way to treat somebody humanely when you
No.
have them locked up and they're not a hardened criminal, which is what they told us, right? They said these are going to be the
Yeah.
worst of the worst, but also this facility in particular was supposed to be the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst, and it is not.
Yes, exactly. And it's something that strikes me in that clip is the kind of visceral pain and desperation that you can hear in some of those voices. And I just think it's that juxtaposed to what we just saw happening at the White House. It's just like we are living in some sort of upside down world where the priorities are a circus and
Mhm.
and
A literal
painting
circus.
and damaging the reflecting pond at on the mall, and it just the things that we are prioritizing, and then you've got what's actually happening,
Mhm.
and that pain. I could feel it in my chest listening to that. But another thing that's really interesting, I saw a statistic today that to date, uh, ICE has imprisoned more people to date, and I would like to fact check this, but the more than in the Holocaust have been imprisoned at this point, um, and I find that to be so jarring, even if it's remotely close to accurate. I think that's information that we are probably not shocked by. To like when I saw that, I thought, okay, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Josh, if you can fact check that for us so that we can
Yeah.
make sure people have accurate information.
Yeah.
All I know is we're detaining children and families and pregnant women and people who came to the US for a better life. I know a lot about crossing borders for a better life. I moved to Argentina when I was 28 years old because I recognized that America was not a place for smart Black women. And I'd like to consider myself a smart Black woman. And I had a life outside of the country that I had to build from scratch. And it takes effort. I had to learn a language. I had to learn cultural norms. And I became an immigrant. I was an immigrant. I wasn't an expat. I always said immigrants are people who call the place they're in home. Expats are people who call say, I'm going home. I'm going back to the States. Like, no, the States no longer was my home, right?
No.
And so I have a lot of empathy for the people who have fought so hard to give a better life to their family are in a situation where they're being treated like less than, they're not even treated like criminals, treated like animals. And so I love to see those protesters out there fighting. And this is in particular, one of the reasons we're doing this show is because I want to show the contrast between I want the fucking Christian Dior $10,000 purse, but also this shit is happening at the same time, as you pointed out, Lauren. And your typical morning show just wants to talk about the purse. They're just like, look at the purse, look
and
at
the recipes and the
and we're going to cover all of it.
We are. And I think importantly too, just to note with what's happening at Delaney and across the country, it's not even all people who have come here seeking a better life. There are people who are legally here. There are people who are like, we're not talking about everything that they have said that this would be in terms of immigration. We're also talking about people who have been here on a visa, people who are traveling, people who like Canadians. It's not the picture that they are presenting like the MS-13 members that are being, it's
we're so far past them even
so
trying
far.
to act like it's dangerous gang members, because at this point they're just like, oh no, we're just rounding up anybody who doesn't belong here while also trying to import white refugees from South Africa. And so at the end of the day, this is all about white supremacy and racism and them leveraging it to get white people to vote against their own economic interests as well. And so you have this billionaire class, and then you have the Christian nationalists working hand in hand to ensure they have the worldview and reality that they want, while the rest of us are sitting here going, I can't afford a $19,000 purse, but at least I can look at it and it's pretty, and then I can make my recipes.
That statistic I just went and looked, it came from Indivisible, and Indivisible is usually pretty spot on, but I don't know if Josh has found it. But what it said was Trump has more people imprisoned in U.S. concentration camps than the Nazis did at any time during the first 6 years of Hitler's rule. So first 6 years.
So I think what they're trying to say is that this is just the beginning, like meaning they're going to detain, because if they're building these facilities, right, and they're already housing around 60, 70,000 people at any given time, and they want to have more of these warehouses, they're going to be holding more people and more people and more. And so I think that's what they're trying to speak to with that statistic. And
I believe that we're going to find out that more people have been imprisoned and died than we are aware of right now. I think when this is all over, we're going to look back and the information will be irrefutable. And I just think that it's going to be worse, significantly worse than what we are presently aware of. And that kind of, it just gives you a chill to your bones. So the idea of knowing that that's what's happening, and we are also engaging in this sort of aspirational $19,000 handbag scenario. It's just
insane.
It kind of breaks your brain a little bit. It just doesn't make sense.
And it should, because the cognitive dissonance is real. And the number of people detained, 60,310 are in detention right now. For anybody who wants to check those numbers, but that's the number that we have. But yes, this dystopian reality is meant to demoralize us and cause us to disengage. And so if we disengage, if we're like, this is too much, I have to back away, I can't get involved, then they win, right? Like that's how fascists win, by just really triggering our entire immune system, our nervous system, to the point that we become depleted. No one's talked about it yet, but I'd like to note how many people who work in the Trump administration are getting sick. You want to talk about how stress and wellness are connected in that piece? Like anytime I know that I've been in a work environment where it's been very stressful, people are suddenly getting all sorts of ailments, because of the environment. And these people know what they're doing, right?
Stress does a crazy thing to you physically. And maybe also bringing it back to Stephen Miller, I believe that evil presents itself outwardly. And
God don't like ugly, and his ugly is resonating, like it's emanating from his body. Like, you know, the Care Bears, they're like, they do the Care Bear stare and like the
they're glowing.
Yeah. So he has this like dark, evil aura. And he's like the bad heckler. He's worse than the bad heckler.
He's the bad. Yeah. He's coming in. He's like grabbing that mic from you on the stage, and he's turning it into his heckling. We're dealing with bullies. We are dealing with the mean kids in high school who I believe probably were actually ostracized in a lot of high school environments. I would think, but but metaphorically right now we are dealing with like the Biff Tannins from Back to the Future. Like it's that. That's what we are facing. And I feel like we are maybe like the nerdy nice kids. We're the model UN kids.
Right. I was on the speech team. Like I was on speech like that. I was the theater dork. I was bullied. Right. And so this environment that we're in right now I recognize it. And so I think that's why I am adamant about remembering where we're at and what moment we're in. I used to host a show with Trygve Olsen, who's a former Republican, Wisconsin-based, and he always likes to say, you got to play the game you're in, not the game you want to be in.
Ooh. And I do not like the game we are in.
I don't like it at all, Lauren. I don't like it
so
at all.
bad.
I'm like, so bad. But I feel better for having had our conversation today. Like I'm in a much better mood than when I was sobbing earlier. Yeah. And so I hope everybody who's watching, who joined us, is also in a better mood in case you were also sobbing. And maybe we'll have like a special Wednesday night show or something one day where we all sob together live on Substack.
I would love to do some lives on Substack while I'm in Philadelphia or DC. I'm all week next week. I'm going to be there surrounded by different political friends. And so maybe we'll do some lives. Maybe we could go live and I could be like right in front of the White House.
Oh God. But only if the UFC ring is still up.
Yeah. I'll be there Monday. So we'll see what
I just can't. I can't.
No.
But I will continue. Yeah. I will rest. I will not stop. I will rest.
And we will rest. We will continue to find joy in the tiny corners that we can, even if it's just a snarky coffee mug.
Yes.
And hopefully my allergies will be under control. Every week I'm like, this is the week where my allergies are not going to be bad and I'm not going to have a box of tissues sitting next to me. But here we are yet again.
Climate change. It's going to be super pollen from here on out.
Yeah. Well, and also, sorry, I know we are so far over. We just need to commit to like, it's an hour long. It's not 45 minutes.
We're going to do 3-hour streams. We're going to be like Joe Rogan. Just keep going and going and going.
And it's also always going to be 15 minutes late. Like we're never actually going to start at 9.
Like we are going to do our darndest to be on time, but just assume it's going to start at 15 after the hour. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Can we also just talk for a second about how the reason Pollen is so bad is there are too many male trees. That's yeah. It's it's still like the patriarchy yet again.
Is this also because they don't want trees to bear fruit because then people wouldn't have to buy food from the grocery store and so it would hurt the
Is
farming
that correct, Josh?
I
Do you
think
have
so. I
any-
think they don't want people to just be able to grab lemons. I don't know. This could be misinformation or disinformation or something from a freaking wellness chat. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't have time to fact check it before the show's over. But
It's-
yes, I think there's something to be said about the male trees. Men,
Yes.
get it together. Thank you, men who do have it together, but men who
Yes.
don't have it together, fucking get it together.
Yeah, get it
and
together.
Take a tree with you.
Oh, he said yes. Josh said yes. That's correct. So yeah, all right. Yeah, men.
Get it together. Take the trees with you. Right?
He said it's because they don't want. Oh,
That's
they
even
don't
worse
want-
than I thought.
That's so bad. They don't want unhoused people being able to survive on their own. Oh my God. Okay.
We're in the bad place. We're in the
We are-
bad place. And sometimes when you're in the bad place, you have to punch your way out into the good place. And so I want some folks on our team, maybe not the DNC, but some folks on our team who are willing
to punch in.
to get a punch. Yeah. I
And we need-
volunteer to be on that team as I'm
Yes.
the tribute of.
Well, and your training with the boxing.
Have you seen my
to-
biceps?
Right. Hey, I love it. I've got the flexibility. I've got the yoga, the dancing, the Pilates, but
Okay.
I need the strength because perimenopause, we are supposed to be strength training. So
I'm supposed to be eating so much protein. Like if my mic were made of protein, like it's just like everything needs to be protein because we're just losing it all. Okay.
I put protein powder in my coffee every morning.
Oh, that's smart. I should do that. I will go do that now.
And you're going to want like a frother to mix it because if you just try to stir it, then it's chunky and lumpy. It's
Little
not good. But if
clumps.
you froth it, yeah, that's the move. So men, get it together, and also ladies, get your protein and strength train to be ready to punch some people.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the tweet.
That I was gonna say, if you take nothing from this episode, take that. And we will see you either next Friday or sooner if we decide, and we'll let you know if we do.
Absolutely. There's a little podcast set up at Netroots in Philadelphia that I'm gonna try to like get a little.
Dope.
Yeah, we'll figure out some things.
We'll figure it out. All right.
Okay.
See you all soon. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.